Lynn, you had quite an interesting background where, like, you struggled sometimes. Your family struggled. I think you're homeless at one point. You went all these things, but I think you said that also gives you a really unique relationship with money. Can you just talk a little bit about how that background helped you with what you do today?
Well, I think going back to the prior question of why do people like my research, I think part of it is because I don't I don't come off like I'm speaking down to people or that I'm out of touch. Kind of a stereotype of finance is that people are out of touch, right? And it's partially true. I mean, not everybody, but it's a somewhat out of touch industry. Um, and so, when I was young, I mean, I was like a lot of people that, my parents were separated. Um, and when I lived with my mom, for example, we were homeless for a period of time, for a couple of years. And so then I moved with my dad. We were in trailer parks, and like I said before, we were reasonably comfortable, but it was still somewhat of kind of a financial struggle a little bit. And so I kind of had those somewhat humble origins, and I kind of I had to take out debt to go to college. Basically, I kind of started out from that kind of scrappy beginning, and I think that gives me an appreciation of things. So even though I became more financially well off over time, I never forgot those roots. And also, I mean, going back to why I got interested in money and say precious metals and inflation when I was like 8 is because I think of that backstory. Basically, the experience of always being without resources or being fragile or being um, vulnerable and not knowing what's going to be next week, right? So it pushed me a little bit towards the other direction more so than most people. So I kind of became like a hardcore saver and investor earlier on. So it's kind of like turning a problematic period into an upside, without going overboard and being like a Scrooge, like a hoarder kind of. So that right balance, I think. And so that I just kind of, whenever I research something or write about something, I always try to approach it from multiple angles. So sometimes I try to make pieces so that if I write something, a financial professional will find a lot of value in it. But then at the same time, someone who doesn't work in finance but is, reasonably well read and intelligent will get it as well. And so, like, that's why my readership ranges from people working on Wall Street to people working at a supermarket, right? Is like there's a massive range there because the whole purpose is to take institutional level research and then apply it to put it into plain English in such a way that, experts still benefit from it, but also other people. And because I appreciate that when I look up things that I'm not an expert in or that I'm not experienced in, and I want to learn how to do something, and there's someone explaining how to do it. It's really helpful when they understand what it's like to not fully get it, and then therefore to put it into plain English.